This is Dave from Abstract Division.
And this is Paul, and you're listening to Common Sense Records presented by Warp.
CSR Presents.
Bienvenidos a una edición más de Common Sense Records Presents, este podcast que hacemos en conjunto entre Common Sense y Warp y que está disponible en todas las plataformas. Soy Alejandro Franco y estoy con Dave y con Paul de Abstract Division. Guys, it's an honor to have you here on our podcast and also in our parties, especially in my party, Mental. And we're so glad that you're having your debut in Mexico City. How are you?
Yeah, good.
Thank you for having us. We're super excited to be here.
Really
for the
looking
first
forward.
time. Yeah.
I'm crazy in love of not only of Amsterdam and what is going on there since a lot of years ago, but also the local scene, and not only in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands. And you're part of that scene, and I'm wondering, since you have been playing together and on your own for several years, how has it been back in the days? Like when you started, how was the Netherlands scene? How was the Amsterdam scene when you started?
That's for me a bit different because I'm a bit older than Paul. I think it started all in the 90s, in the beginning of the 90s with the house parties, and then slowly it evolved to techno parties. I think Awakenings had a big role in that because they were throwing up the first parties.
Yeah.
That was one of my first, how do you say it, experiences with techno.
Yeah.
And it was really amazing. Like the local scene, I think that was always there. I have a lot of friends meet there, and I'm still friends with them. Of course, there are new ones coming, so yeah, a bit like that, I think.
Yeah, I think especially during the pandemic, when the clubs were closed for the last 2 years or something, there are a lot of new underground communities and collectives. They started running their illegal events because all the clubs were closed. So they were doing illegal parties. And because of this, there are a lot of local communities, but also local artists established from that scene, which is super interesting now, because now the clubs are open and you can see that, for instance, is the community, the Marron, for instance, one of these guys who came up from the underground during the pandemic, and now he's like a pretty big techno artist.
Orphic is a second one.
Touring all across the globe now, So,
Yeah.
So that's very interesting.
Yeah, and you don't see that very often, no?
No, definitely not. No.
When you started, particularly Dave, you started like on your own.
Yes.
Like 3 decades ago.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I'm old.
And then you started Abstract Division with Paul 11 years ago.
Yes, something like that.
I mean, what happened before that? How was your ecosystem?
I had first another label with 3 other guys, Audio Sculpture, which was really cool to do. But we were with 4 persons, and 4 persons, 4 captains. So yeah, we made a lot, but not everything came out. So it was not super productive. It was a lot of fun. We did release some records. Actually, that's how I knew Paul, because Paul already bought my records, and that's how we met.
That's nice.
I've been a big supporter of the label, and obviously his music.
It's still in the air somehow.
Yeah.
We're gonna do some new things, but very slowly.
Okay.
Yeah. He was making a lot of music together with Damien Keen. I played a track called Dusk a lot from them. And I think they closed the Awakenings in Eindhoven once with one unreleased track.
Yeah.
And I listened to that track and I said, "What the fuck was this?" and he
literally
told me, "Wow, this
Wow.
is an unreleased new track from
but
me
we
and
made it
Damien
like
Keen."
8 hours before.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
So-
Because that was a connection.
Yeah, and I just started the label in 2008, and I was like, okay, I'm looking for new music, and this is unreleased, and I was like, okay, can we sign this? And he said, yeah, well, maybe let me talk to Damien, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then I booked him for
Wow, that was meant to be.
For sure.
So we got signed. We signed the record, and I still play it though. Every
Dark
once in a
Day on
while.
Mercury.
Dark Day on Mercury. is
that's
the-
amazing.
amazing track. And then I booked Dave for one of my parties called Mental Evolution in Utrecht. I'm from Utrecht. And then after that we became friends, and then we decided to
go to studio.
to go to the studio for once, just to check out, because he was more experienced than I was. And he was working with a lot of hardware. I was only using software, so for me it was like very interesting to see how he works and stuff. So they've become somehow some sort of my mentor during the years. You know, he was a very experienced producer already, and I was still quite young and inexperienced. So
And eager.
eager to learn. So yeah,
that's good.
then even the first session we did, we made a new record, the first record already.
Yeah, went very fast.
Within 3 or 4 hours, and you don't have that with many persons. You know, I mean, you know probably as well that if you go to the studio with a friend, sometimes you have like a certain chemistry and it works, and sometimes you can sit all night long in the studio and it
Nothing
doesn't work.
happens,
Doesn't
Nothing
work.
happens.
Totally agree.
So, yeah, magic happens in the first meeting, and then after that we said, okay, maybe we should do this again, and then we started the project Abstract Vision.
Because at the end, the project became like your main project. No?
Yeah,
exactly.
for sure.
Yeah, the thing was we had
But
both.
there's a switch when you decide to leave your own your own path.
but
I mean,
that
on
went-
your own, and then you decide to
That
put
went
the
quite
path
fast, to be
together with
honest,
someone.
like within a year.
Yeah,
or-
the thing
something
was
like
when we released our first record, then the first gigs came. Our first gig was at Sunda Indoor Festival, which was also quite big, and then within a year we played Awakenings and Berghain already.
Wow, that's
And it was
amazing.
like, okay, this is even going faster than our own projects. And at some point we were like, okay, if we really want to make this happen,
Let's do
we
it.
should choose and focus on one project and let the other 2 solo projects
Yeah.
maybe sit in the fridge for a while and see how this goes.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It's going well.
11 years later we're here.
Yeah, but it's also a challenge to start playing together, no?
Yeah.
Not only producing.
Yeah, well, I have to say, like, to be honest, in the beginning we had really like a lot of talks about the sets. We were discussing our sets, you know, like
Analyzing.
Yeah.
and hey man, you can better do it like this, or
Yeah.
don't play that record ever again, you know. And I think it took like 3-4 years. Then we were a bit on the same level,
Yeah,
and I think we're
2 or 3
still
years,
still learning every day.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it took a while.
And also on a personal level, it's also quite challenging to stay motivated and keep the relationship going after so many years, you know.
Of course.
Yeah.
And then, how is it right now? If we compare your early days together, trying to adapt yourself and the sound and making decisions together, etc. How is it now compared to that moment? Do you have also a live version of Abstract Division, or you're just always playing as DJs? Because I know production is a very important side of you. How is it?
I think we wanted to do one live, but
Yeah,
I think
because
we're not made for that, to be honest.
No, we did the album last year, our first album after 10 years, which was our 10-year anniversary, and we celebrated with our first album. And we wanted to do like a hybrid live set when we were releasing the album, and then also releasing like a new live set. But in the end of the day, we decided not to do it because, like Dave said, I don't think it does. It's not for us or something.
Yeah.
We're more
And
DJs.
I think like we have both a wide palette of tastes, you know, and we don't talk before a set. Actually, we just choose our own music. And then
That's amazing.
And then we go with the flow, you know.
Yeah.
That's what changed.
Yeah.
You
That-
don't
that's-
need to have the talks.
So we're constantly surprising each other. Like, oh, he's doing this. I'm going that way, you know, or I follow him, or you know. So it's always a new combination.
When
for
you
us.
get that feeling, it's amazing.
Yeah, I know, that's-
but
it's
it's
special.
tough. It's difficult to have that feeling with.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you cannot reach that point with anyone.
No,
I mean, with everyone.
no, that's
No.
true.
But when you find, you know,
Yeah.
like,
And it's
I
not
think-
always like magic. Sometimes you have these few
Yeah.
times a year that it happens like that you never talk. Also not during the set, and just magic happens.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
like synergy, or
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. You know what?
Those
you know
sets,
the
are,
feeling,
those sets
right?
are
Yeah.
online.
It's like everything falls into the right parts.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you can predict when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's
if,
also
if it's there, then it's magic. You know?
the magic of DJing.
Yeah,
Also,
I know. And you,
because I love when someone says like always, no, Zach, DVS1.
Yeah.
It's always saying DJing is also an art.
Yeah.
It's not only that we're putting music together. There's something
Absolutely, yeah.
else. There's a magic. There's an energy.
Yeah.
There's a moment. We can play the exact same tracks in the exact same order,
sound
and it's gonna be another
It's still
experience.
different.
It's the
Exactly.
way way you present it, and the way you build it up, and the way you build your story, and how you select your records.
The atmosphere,
Yeah.
the people,
All
the
the
Even
vibe.
the room, the
Yeah, of
people,
course, everything.
yourself in that
So
day.
it will be
etc.
never the same, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But to come back to your question, how did the sound develop over the years? Honestly, I don't think it changed much. Only the tempo and the quality of the mixing,
course,
maybe.
yeah,
But in
the
terms of the
production
sound and production
Yeah.
techniques, obviously,
Yeah.
because we learn a lot over the years.
Yeah, have more tools.
But
Yeah.
if you listen to our first record and you listen to our last record, I think
Yeah.
in terms of sound, it's still pretty much the same. Only the tempos changed a little bit. I
Yeah.
think when we started was around 138.
Yeah.
Then we had an era around 132-ish, between
Yeah.
135,
Yeah.
and now we're more closer back to 138 or something, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Although I think like in terms of playing, DJing,
We developed a
I
lot.
think we
yeah.
developed like the music developed too, because like tracks are they have the same principle, but they sound
They
different.
sound different, yeah.
As like in 2014, you know what I mean?
That's amazing.
Like it's more technical. You're more escapes, and I don't know, like it's more advanced, you know.
I get it.
But it's still the same principle.
Yeah, I love that.
I think that's important.
Yeah, that's very important.
Yeah.
And now, because you are also participating and you're part of the industry in different ways, with the label, with your parties, as promoters, as DJs, etc. What do you think? And I like to ask this question in this podcast because we have different perspectives from different artists from all around the world. What do you think of what is happening right now with music in the techno culture? Because there are a lot of upside downs and there are a lot of readings depending of how are you experiencing it, or how do you work in your local scenes, and then you're traveling, etc. How is it for you guys?
Yeah, shall I start? I think, like you mean like the new genres which are coming up, how we're dealing with that, or?
Yeah, but what do you think and how are you dealing with?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You know, in the end, you have to. It is what it is. You know, you can't do much about it. Only doing your own thing and fight for the good thing. Let's say it that way. But yeah, I think, to be honest, like the newer music, the TikTok music, and it's all like a mirror of our current society. You know,
Yeah.
like everybody wants to have like
Yeah.
short impulses. Things like 5 seconds, and then they're already bored, and you see that back in the music. You know, it's so yeah.
Yeah, I think it has good things and bad things.
Yeah.
I think we never followed a certain hype and always stayed true to ourselves and did things and still do things which are very close to our hearts, and never followed a certain hype. But if you, I'm not sure if you apply to this, but like the new generation or the with the more commercial side of techno, the TikTok techno, how they call it, it's also like a first step into electronic music for them, which is interesting, you know, because I'm not a fan of the music.
Yeah, but I think it's a better step than EDM, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think maybe it is the new EDM now, you know. So if people go to a hard techno party where also DVS1 is playing in the other room, for instance, and they go from I don't know, let's say Nico Moreno or I Had Models or whatever, and they also gonna have a look at DVS1 in the other room, and they say, oh, this is also interesting.
Yeah.
And from there on, they're gonna find their own path
Yeah.
into electronic music
Yeah.
and develop their own taste.
I have the same perspective of
Yeah,
you. I
yeah.
mean, there's the negative way to see it,
Exactly.
and there's also for
Yeah.
me an opportunity.
Exactly.
Like, okay, you have people more close to the gap is
Yeah,
less.
yeah,
Exactly.
for sure.
The gap
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
not so big.
And
Yeah.
honestly, when
Yeah.
I came into electronic music, my first relationship with electronic music was hardcore music.
Yeah.
from back in the day, was very big in Holland
So
with the gabber scene.
Yeah.
So
So
from there,
you understand what is happening for a lot of kids.
Yeah, of course,
exactly,
of course.
Yeah.
And you want to break things. You want to,
of course.
like
you have a lot of
with rock music, with punk music in
Yeah.
different decades.
lots of testosterone,
Yeah, you want to
Yeah.
be active.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, true.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
And also, you are. We always talk about music here, but just a final word, because you said to me, and I agree with that for you, music and food are like in the same
On the same level.
on the same level.
Yeah.
And I think that right now there's also a great moment for food. No?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you can go to several places all around the world, and like food is now on a level in most of the cities.
And the similarity between music and food is about connection and sharing.
Yes.
Sharing the same passion and cultures with each other. And
It's nice to see.
food and music connects
Yeah.
people together, right?
Yes.
So, that's
I
what
have
love.
noticed that there are a lot of good friendships between chefs and musicians,
DJ, yeah, definitely.
and specifically DJs.
Definitely.
And
yeah.
I always have thought that, as a DJ, that when you're traveling on your own, I mean, you guys are traveling together, and that's a relief.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
also very nice.
Luckily.
It is, yeah.
When you're traveling on your own,
I
it's
know.
tough.
It's
Yeah.
difficult.
And
different.
sometimes your only connection, your real connection, you have a few hours before your gig, and
Yeah.
you go to a dinner with the promoter,
Yeah.
and then the meal, the food,
Yeah.
and everything around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably that will be your real connection
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
that place, besides your set. No?
Yeah.
I think
we had a bit the same in South Italy, yeah?
It's literally like have a little taste of the culture.
Yeah,
Literally.
Yes,
right?
literally.
Yeah.
it's another way to
Yeah.
live it. Yeah,
Yeah.
guys,
I love
thanks a lot. I'm really glad that you're here. That you're part of our story now.
Thank you for having us.
And really looking forward to have you back.
Yeah.
And I hope this is the first one of many.
we
Hopefully.
hope so
Thank
too.
you so much
Thank
for
you
having
very
us,
much.
man.
Thanks a lot. Abstract Division, Common Sense Records presents.
Las conversaciones que definen lo más relevante de la historia y la cultura del techno. CSR Presents. Una producción de Warp y Common Sense Records.